everybody, I got into so much trouble for this house party, so this is just gonna be a story time video. Oh, and by the way, pardon for this weird video angle, but I can't find my tripod, so this is what you guys have to deal with for this video. So, I think I was in H3 at the time, and H3 at my school, because I followed the IGCSE IB program. So in my school, I think I was about 16 going on 17, or I was just 17. I'm actually pretty sure I must have been early 17. I always went camping with my parents, but I think it was during spring break, and I was like, hey, you know what, I have a lot of exams coming up, so I'd rather just stay at home. And they're like, yeah, cool, alright, whatever. And I was kind of already like rocky on edge with them. They already knew that I was rebelling a lot, that I was going out, that I was like seeing guys and stuff. So they always gave me so much trust, but I'm sure they had their suspicions already. And there were many times where I came home and I smelled like cigarettes, so they already had their suspicions. So it started off where I invited my 5 girlfriends over, and this was before the party, and we took baths together. We had like bubble baths, and we just played on the laptops, went on Omegle, just did like girly shit, you know. And then the next day we prepared for the party, and I just had a group chat on Facebook or something, and I invited people from my year group, from the younger year group, from the other school, the other international school that we knew of. And so there was maybe like only 40 people invited, but I think only like 22 in total showed up or something. I lived in an apartment. I lived on the 11th floor of an apartment. I have neighbors everywhere. House parties in Australia has to be done in a house, you know? And in Taiwan, we were so used to house parties just being in apartments, you know? I don't know, it's just a very separate life. But I knew that my parents wouldn't want me to do this, but I was like, what the hell? I don't give a shit. Like, I was in just like a rebellious state of mind. So we picked up a couple people from the train station, walked them back to my place. We were playing music, we were just drinking. It was bring your own, so everyone brought their own drinks, and there were also some drinks supplied from some of my friends as well. Now we get to party details. Okay. So the party was like pretty alright. Everything was really, really like fine. I mean, apart from the fact that there was really drunk people, there was like people in relationships hooking up with other people. There were exes fighting. Okay, basically there was just drama happening left, right, and center. There was people hitting on other people who didn't want to be hit on. There was some drugs involved. There was some ketamine involved. There was some weed involved, cigarettes, alcohol. Overall, nobody really broke anything, but the worst part was everyone got really drunk. And my best friend at the time was a year below me, and I'm sure I must have talked about her before. She was the one who trashed one of my other friends' house party, but at the time, she was my best friend, and I was like, she's not gonna fuck up my house, right? Okay, let's go. Okay, I get it. Everybody gets really fucked up. Some people are puking. But before anybody vomits, like, everyone's pretty good. And the first person to get smashed out fucking drunk and was, like, vomiting in my toilet, and I was just kind of like, because I told her before the party, I was just like, okay, so you have to also help me take care of this house. So you gotta make sure nobody's too drunk as well. You gotta make sure everyone's in place. No one's doing any, like, suspicious shit. And she's like, yeah, I got you, girl. Like, don't worry. And then she was the first one who had her head stuck in the toilet. So I was just like, okay, whatever. So I gave her water and everything. I was just like, you know what? Just chill out. Nobody was allowed in my little brother's room. Absolutely, it was like forbidden. I put it in the group chat. I told everybody nobody's allowed in my little brother's room. But she got so fucked up, I was just like, okay, you know what? I took her to my little brother's room, and I was just like, okay, lie down here, like, you know, chill here. I'll get you some water. And then so like I went out. Everything was okay. Everybody was having a good time. I walked back into the hallway, and I see that my little brother's room is slightly open. So I'm like, okay, let me check on her. Let me see how she's doing. So I open the door, and I see that she's with like another guy, and I was like, hey, what the fuck, like, this is my little brother's room, like, you can't do that here. And she was like, no, it's okay, he won't do anything, all this stuff. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna close the door. And I just closed the door, and I like, before I closed the door, I was just like, don't do anything. And then so I closed the door. I knew she wasn't gonna have sex with him. Obviously she wasn't the type of girl to, but I still didn't want them like fondling in my little brother's like bed and shit. So I was just like really shocked by that, but I was kind of drunk, so I was just like, you know what, okay, whatever, fuck that. They didn't do anything. I'm sure they just like cuddled and shit. And then like he literally left the room within like 2 minutes after, and then just went back to the party, and she left the room as well. And then half the people there kind of slept over that night. They all slept in my room. And then in the morning, some people had school, like the people from the other international school, they had school, they went to school. People were smoking at that party. They were smoking weed, they were smoking cigarettes, and the house kind of smelled like smoke. The carpet smelled like smoke, and the couches smelled like smoke, and the carpet kind of smelled like alcohol. So I spent a whole day, I dedicated the whole day in making sure everything was clean. I didn't ask anybody else to clean up for me because I knew what I was getting myself into. So I cleaned everything. I might have a photo. I think I have a photo of it. I'll insert it here somewhere. I cleaned everything, and I mopped the floors. I like air freshened the shit out of it. I opened up all the windows, all the doors, and there was still 3 more days for my parents to come back home only to find out that I had a party in their house. And I thought they wouldn't notice. You know, I got rid of every bit of evidence I could have. So forward to 3 days later, my parents come home, my mom enters the house, and by mom I mean my stepmom, but like still my mom. She enters the house, and the first thing she says is, "It smells like cigarette." And I was just like, my heart's like pumping, and I'm like, shit, fuck, they know. And I was just like, oh, me and my friend, we shared a cigarette together. And they were like, what, in the house? And I was just like, yeah, well, we opened the window out there because it was raining, so we couldn't go to the balcony. So I just stuck my head out the window and I smoked a cigarette. They didn't buy my shit, but they didn't want to hear me continue lying, so I kind of just scooted me off. And I was just like, and they're like, you can't do this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, whatever. I was sorry, but I also left the house as like tidy as it was. It's just that it smelled bad, and the smell went away like within like the day that they were there, and I couldn't even smell it. Maybe that's why I didn't see it as that bad, because I was already smoking cigarettes, so I couldn't smell the smell of cigarettes. But the worst part is 3 days later they like sit me down again, and they were just like, did you have a party in this house? And I was just like, no, why? And they were like, did you have a party in this house? And I was just like, yeah, I had a couple people over. It wasn't just me and her. And they were like, oh, okay. Because there's so many umbrellas in the umbrella rack. And I was like, shit. Because, like, it was raining that night. So when people walked from the train station to my apartment, they obviously had umbrellas. And when they left drunk, they obviously forgot to bring their umbrellas. So now there's just this umbrella bin that's just, like, stuffed with umbrellas that don't belong to us. And I was just like, oh, yeah. I had a couple people over, and then they were like, okay, you know, not to do this again, same lecture, and I was like, I know, I get it, I'm sorry. The worst part, and even worse than them finding out about the party, was that my mom said to me that she opened up my little brother's drawers and found this skirt and this pair of underwear. She put it in a bag, like a paper bag, and she like opened it and showed it to me. And the underwear wasn't mine. It was my friend's bikini, because you know how we were taking a bubble bath together? We were in our bikinis, and it was her bikini. So I was just like, oh, I didn't even know how it came into my brother's room until I made the process that she probably, you know, was still wearing it when she was hooking up with the guy, and like took it off, and then like just like wore her shorts, and then just like put her underwear in the drawer or something. But the skirt that was in the drawer was the skirt that I lent her to wear to sleep that night. So it was like a pajama skirt. She must have slept in my little brother's room that night. I'm not really sure where she did sleep. I don't understand how those ended up in my drawer, and I feel like I will never understand how they end up there. And so I said to them, that's not mine. And they're like, who was it? And I said that girl's name. And they were like, oh, I don't think she's being a good friend to you if she's leaving these in your little brother's drawers. And I was just like, shit. Good point. But I still ended up being friends with her, which was a really big mistake, but whatever. But I apologized to my family, and I did mean it, because when I hosted the party, I was bitter about something. I was bitter about everything. I was really in a destructive mindset. I was pushing people away. And there might not really be a moral to this video, but if you have a house party, make sure that you don't smoke inside or some shit, and only have people that you trust. The person I trusted the most was the one who fucked up, and I didn't even tell her that I found them in the drawer. I never confronted her for it, and this is like the story where she trashed someone else's house party. It's just crazy how I thought she wouldn't do the same to me. When in reality she did. Basically, don't make friends with psychos, and just don't have a house party without your parents knowing. So the video I suggest today is a video by the JK Party Crew, aka, you know, Bart and Geo. I think this video is on Bart and Geo's account. It's our friends reacting to our pregnancy. I think that's what it's called. I'll put a link somewhere in my face and also in the description below. But this video is basically how their friends react to their pregnancy, and it's such a heartwarming video, especially if you like the JK Crew Party. Even if you don't know these people, it's such a funny and sweet reaction to it, and also quite a clever way to reveal a pregnancy as well. So I hope everyone's having a really good day. I need to get a better outro. I always say the same one, but it's like I really do hope you guys have a really good day. And thank you guys for watching this video, and see ya guys!